Good morning, everyone, and walked down to work this morning. So, this morning I thought I would talk about loss. Um, Unfortunately, I got some bad news yesterday that one of my colleagues in work passed away suddenly from a heart attack, and that's got me thinking about the things that we lose both in life and in general. And keeping to my theme of geopolitics, especially my perspective on the on what's going on between the USA and the world. I was thinking of how America is losing a lot of its respect, a lot of its gratitude, a lot of its goodwill due to the activities and the ideas perpetuated by a handful of people at the top. So, last year with the tariffs, that started the whole snowball effect of America decoupling from the world, particularly from Europe. The tariffs did hit Ireland quite heavily, but because we're part of the European Union and because we have a much more diverse portfolio with regards to international economics than we did before the recession in 2010. We weren't hit as badly as other countries had been. This year then, with the Iran war taking place, you see a lot of allies of America getting the cold shoulder, particularly allies within NATO. Now, caveat here, Ireland is not part of NATO. Okay, we are a neutral country for reasons going back to our own national identity and going back to our constitution in 1936. The Irish perspective on NATO is that it is a positive thing, but we try to avoid getting involved in any wars except when asked to participate due to United Nations mandate. So, getting back to the main video, after that little bit of a tangent. The United Kingdom, Spain, France and now Germany have all given the very strong indication that they are not interested in getting involved in Trump's war in Iran. Italy joined the crew as well, especially after his ill-informed comments regarding the Pope. So this basically leaves America more and more isolated. Now, after recent comments by Chancellor Merz of Germany, just indicating that, in his opinion, the war in Iran hasn't been prosecuted very, very well. Trump, of course, took umbrage to this, as he takes umbrage to everything, except coming from the king, it would seem. King of England, it would seem. And he lashed out in social media against Germany, making it seem as if they're a third-rate country and that they have got so many problems that if they didn't have help from America, they would be in an even deeper situation. He also suggested that the United States start withdrawing American troops from mainland Europe and bases in the UK. Now, what does this actually mean? Well, for America, this isn't a good thing, because the European allies have allowed America to project strength across the world. Even though America has got 12 aircraft carriers, right? that are largely self-sufficient. We can see with the problems with one of them in the Gulf at the moment, with regards to toilets and fires, that just because you have large military equipment, maintaining them is a completely different ballgame. You also have to have an auxiliary fleet along with the aircraft carrier, because the aircraft carrier is a very big target. So this fleet also needs resupply, refueling, R&R for the sailors and Marines that are on board. Coupled with that then is the fact that a few weeks ago Trump was moaning and giving out about the fact that European allies were not supplying military facilities on their soil, in particular Spain and the UK, to help in the war in Iran. And fluctuating between saying, oh, how terrible these so-called allies are, to basically saying that they didn't need them. So the European bases allow America to project power across a huge swath of Africa, the Middle East and Asia, as well as ensuring that America has a strong presence in Europe, keeping European allies on side. Then, other than resupply, other than force projection, there's also a huge industry in weapons and military equipment, where the US provides a lot of weapons and equipment to European allies. So what does this mean at the end of the day? Well, it's like this. None of these things Europe actually needs. When it comes to resupplying the American fleet, that's not particularly hugely necessary for Europe. Yes, it is useful, but European countries have their own fleets. Might be much smaller, but they're still powerful in their own right. Second, with regards to force projection. The Europeans don't generally, especially since the Gulf War, or the Iraq War, haven't really been interested in what's going on outside the European continent. With Ukraine and Russian conflict being the main focus of their attention. And then thirdly, when it comes to buying military equipment, Europe doesn't really need to buy from America. There are other countries that supply military equipment, including several European countries. And with the proper investment and the proper know-how, Europe can rise to the occasion. Now, when I say Europe here, I also include other allies such as Canada, who is part of NATO as well, and also countries such as Australia, New Zealand, Philippines, Japan, who are not part of NATO, obviously, because they're in the Pacific region, but who are also being treated quite badly by the Trumpists in power. And the same applies to them with regards to all of these issues. So I hate to say this, but this is not a case of they need us more than we need them when it comes to the American perspective. If America does withdraw from NATO, yes, it will be a massive shock. And if America does pull back, it will be quite upsetting to Europe, but it's not the end of the day. Russia has largely burnt itself out in Ukraine, and the Ukrainians are rising to the occasion and will become very important partners in a new European arrangement. This is just pushing Europe, especially the European Union, which is an economic and political alliance, not a military one, but it's more pushing them towards a European army, which can only be bad for the United States. Because a Europe that can stand by itself, as much as Trump lauds the idea, is a Europe that does not need the United States. Reflecting back into the past, why hasn't this happened before? Well, European powers had their empires before, so this didn't really need to unify under one banner. And then the First and Second World War were basically European civil wars. Okay, yeah, there was a lot of fighting went on in other parts of the world, especially against the Japanese in the Pacific region. But from a European perspective, they were basically the imploding of the old imperial system. And a new more unified Europe emerged from it. So, if NATO was to fall, now is probably the best time. Russia is seriously degraded. It has shown that its military is completely inept. As much as I support the Ukrainian battles for independence, from a Russian perspective, their military has shown not to be able to even take over their next door neighbours, which is a fraction of their size. And all in all, the whole system is just perfect for Europe to go on its own. Do I think it's a good idea? No, I don't think so. I think that we're stronger together than we are apart. But nevertheless, we have to look at the reality of the situation also. I will be making a couple of videos on my thoughts on a post-Trump world, but with regards to this, I do feel that this is only pushing Europe towards a more independent stance away from the US. Will it be painful? Of course it will. Just like Ireland, when we broke away from the British Commonwealth in 1940s and from the British Empire in the 1920s, it did cause huge shock to the system. But nevertheless, we've managed to rise to the occasion here. Europe can do the same. Now, I think that video was a bit long enough. I will be voicing my thoughts at some point about Ireland's situation with regards to NATO and how we feel about what looks like its impending collapse. But until then, have a nice day. Be good.